It is so cute. Rich Lux suggested that it might be a credible dupe for the Natasha Denona palette that I don't know the name of, but this was considerably cheaper. List price is $11, and I was able to get it at Marshall's for $8. So you can't go wrong with that. What do we have on our skin? We are moisturized, and we have our L'Oreal Revitalift Miracle Blur on our skin, and also the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Cream. And we've also been fortunate to go in with this e.l.f. soap brow product, which actually is really amazing. I think I was a little aggressive with how much I put on my brush, but you know, it's always possible with a soap brow product to re-wet it and you know, make any adjustments that are necessary, but it really does dry down with an amazing stiffness, and that's not what I got from the soap brow product from Makeup Revolution London. It was just, you know, you do all the work of spoolie and wetting and all of that, and then it just gave you nothing. Your brows were just as flexible and on their way to being unruly as they were before. But I feel like this product, which I'm told is a dupe for the Anastasia Brow Freeze, really does give you freeze. The only issue is if you go overboard with it, you're going to end up with, you know, this sort of like white paste on your skin, and you don't necessarily want that. Uh-oh, the cops. I don't know if you can hear that outside. But in any case, we did bend this Real Techniques spoolie, and it, you know, worked out great. I'm not mad at this product. I thought we might use our, add a little more light with our mirror. I thought we might use this brush we got from Ione Cosmetics at the dollar store for, I think it was $1.29. No, I guess that's the fire department. To get some of this NYX eyeshadow base, ESB01. It's kind of a white type product onto our lids so that we can get into this, you know, sort of pastel-y type product. Ooh, that's a lot. You don't need quite that much. You know how I am about not wanting to waste products, but in any case, you know, looking at your lid, just dotting that on. I'm wanting to get a wash of this base across the lid. We did not prime with concealer because I figured this color would maybe be a little bit more true than, oh, there's helicopters too. I wonder what's going on. I hope nothing, but you know, it's Hollywood, so there's always something going on, you know, including parties and get-togethers that, I don't know how you feel, but I'm not quite convinced that this COVID business is all settled. I know that there are a couple of airlines that are talking about dropping mask mandates. If anyone's paying attention to what's going on in Shanghai and Europe, then you may be aware that that might not be the right move. Oh, I dropped this Better Than Sex mascara on the floor. You know, just using our good old finger. Let's just make sure that this is a smooth application of this eyeshadow base, that we're having an even application, and something that might, you know, enhance our shadow application and give us good color payoff without any unfortunate texture. Maybe we've created a problem by, I think there's some excess soap brow material on our skin. It's given us a bit of texture. So beauty sponge to the rescue. Just rubbing out any unfortunate product misplacement, right? You want a smooth canvas for your shadow. Randomly, I had gotten this KT tape at Marshall's thinking that, oh, it's boob tape because of the color. No, it's athletic tape. So I wonder if it can work as boob tape with, you know, dresses that don't allow for wearing a normal bra. So we'll stay tuned for this, whatever we do with that. So we washed our makeup brushes. We've been a good girl in that sense. And, you know, this makeup palette is cute. There's a little perforation on the back where you can just get your finger in it. And isn't that a satisfying sound? I hope we're not going to have all the trouble we've been having with our lives, but, you know, it's giving our eyeshadow base a moment to dry down, and that way we can get busy taking a random fluffy brush and a handy mirror, putting that into our palette so that we can see what we're doing. Clean, holding the end for minimal pressure. What color shall we use as a transition? You know, I thought it might be interesting to do some different looks with the shadow and then go to all the different places that are mentioned on it. So the first one is Weho, right? And that's this sort of peachy, salmon peachy color, right? And just getting that across our, I've heard people talk about washing the color across the lid and then kissing it at just the outer corner of the eye, right? Maybe putting on a little bit more on this side, tapping it on, making sure that there's plenty of color for plenty of payoff. But would you like that idea? Just me roaming around different parts of, sorry, that would amuse me in as much as I'm escaping from the project that I've been working on for several months. I'm not, you know, putting on complexion products before my eyeshadow, right? But we can take a moment to try to lift and blend that color out toward the tail of our soaped brows. Look how pretty that is. You know, and just thinking about the concept of femininity. We spend a lot of time playing a cop, you know, or FBI agent. That doesn't really give you all the opportunity to do, you know, a lot of makeup. So taking a very thin, like, pencil brush, this might even be a lip brush. What would be the appropriate outer corner color? You know, without going dark, we could get into Runyon Canyon, but let's maybe try this Abbott Kinney purple, right? Getting there, in there, and being very precise about the outer V of the lid, right? Opening that eye, seeing if we can see the color payoff when our eye is open, and just reinforcing what we did. So the actual V of the lid is different than the visible V, right? So when you're a hooded eye person, just thinking about the visible V, right? Thinking about the V that will be seen when your eye is actually open is a little bit different. And the shape of that, it's a little bit more elaborate. You know, these are pastels, right? It's that Nicki Minaj, it's that Harajuku. It's not quite the serious, same, you know, sort of tati neutrals that we might be used to, but boy, that looks pretty, right? I feel like I'm working on an 80s movie, right? Did anyone see that, I dare call it a film, but a movie called Bad Hair? It was by the gentleman who produced Dear White People. And it was 80s outfits. It was about a black woman who, you know, worked at a sort of MTV style company, and then her boss either insisted or suggested that she wear a wig or a weave. And I believe that it was a wig, not a weave, but it was haunted, and that, you know, hijinks and comedy ensued. I think Vanessa Williams, the former pageant winner, as well as Laverne Cox, were in the film. I don't really recall right now who else was in it. I don't know anyone who saw it, but I definitely worked on it, and it was a lot of fun. But boy, these colors are beautiful. It is so, these colors are so sort of juice, punch bowl, and pretty that it makes me wonder how beautiful the expensive version is, right? The Natasha Denona must be very, very striking. If this is, you know, kind of intense and pretty, I wonder what, you know, what's the difference when you actually work with the high-end version. But I'm not unhappy with this. This, you know, sort of salmony color, and then this peach just look dynamite. I wonder if I need to blend it out or if I should just get to stamping on some inner corner shimmer. There's a lot of choices. There's pale, there's another salmon, there's gold. What would be the right contrast? There's this kind of creamsicle shimmer. Maybe we'll go for creamsicle and just be nuts. Just get into it, right? As Doja Cat would say, get into it, yo. So, taking some sort of profusion paddle brush from, I'm sure, some other palette, stamping that into our shimmer, being thoughtful about placing it in the inner corner, imagining a cut crease that we have not done. We're not adding more product, but wanting it to kiss that inner corner. And boy, that's pretty. It really is a foil. And if you pat it on, stamp it on, right, without all that swirling and blending, you get just an incredible shimmery color payoff that's like a little veil of creamsicle foil, right? Looking down into your mirror, covering. I think it could even be a heavier application. It makes me want to wet my brush and do that, but I don't know if we should do that. It's very nice. It's very intense. Maybe we'll use the corner of the brush to put some in the lower lash line. Isn't that pretty? And then we'll do the other side. Just looking at our right eye as a guide and trying to stroke it in exactly the same shape, right? You want that drama, but you also want that symmetry. You want, you know, just like your jewelry, you want something that enhances your features, something that distinguishes Tuesday from Monday. Not the same thing every day, right? We might eat the same food or drink the same coffee, but when we switch it up and have a matcha instead of a latte, then, you know, interest is piqued, interest is restored. The same old is great. Your favorite cookie, your favorite chewing gum, your favorite salad, but, you know, you can also keep things fresh. Keep your palate and your eyes guessing. I am not mad at this color at all. Do you see what I'm seeing? Do you see how beautiful this is? I would not have expected on my skin, and I think I may have seen a review of this palette that suggested, I feel like I kind of want to enhance that Weho color, you know, and use the same brush to blend the edges, but also intensify that purple, right? Going from the outside edge in, right? Stamping it over top of that purple, surrounding it, just like the police. But, you know, getting that beautiful gradient effect and maybe brushing it out toward the temple. You know, is this a sharp edge? Do we want to do what the people on TikTok do and some micellar water to kind of give you a sharp swipe at the outer portion? Do we want to sweep it into the temple in a sort of dreamy way? Are we getting quite enough of it to kind of stamp over that creamsicle shimmer, right? Is this the time to make small circles? Not to obliterate that purple, but to make it, what does John McClane say? Seamless. Other side. We're trying it. We're getting busy, right? It's not enough to just collect palettes. You want to wear these bad boys. And I'm always surprised when I do, oh no, the mirror died. Yeah, not enough power, not enough charge. Isn't that emblematic of modern life? Not enough power, not enough charge. But you know, just working on our blend, working on our technique, working on our color payoff. We definitely have color payoff, you know. No more boring 2-color eyeshadow, single color eyeshadow. No. We're doing it all. What other color can we put on our lower lashes? What kind of thin little brush can we use to do it? Well, here's another one of my favorite red chrome BH Cosmetics brushes, right? We haven't even done a liner with our liner brush, but maybe we can get something fun on our lower lash line. This is a sparkle blue. Maybe that's not it. Maybe we need to go for Dreamer, which is this green. So Dreamer isn't a place, but it certainly is something that's very relevant to the concept of being in Los Angeles. You know, there's not one person on set who doesn't have a dream, a script, a project. Look at that green that they want to complete, right? And I just think it's so, you know, having worked for a showrunner, it's just kind of, I guess it's necessary, but it's kind of painful when, you know, people don't get an opportunity to share their creative work simply because of what their job title is, right? And I think a lot of people don't realize the harsh line of demarcation that there is between above and below the line workers on set, right? It's almost like actors, writers, producers are allowed to be creative. And if you're not that, and if you don't have that relationship, don't come a knocking, don't come a asking. Doesn't matter where you go to try to do more. I wonder if this green would work as a liner. Is it just too pale? Am I dreaming? Am I dreaming of a green liner that may or may not work out? Would getting setting spray into this liner enhance its ability to be a liner? Or do we need to go for a more traditional brown or black? It's definitely visible, but is it the right hue, right? Is it the right weight that you would need for a liner, right? Going from the lower lash line, is it going to work on the upper lash line? Is this a moment where you take some sort of glitter liner or something? But I'm surprised just how much I'm actually getting it into my lashes, and it's visible, right? It really is. You know, there's a Trans Day of Visibility that's going to happen in West Hollywood, which is one of the places that's in this palette as one of the locations. And I definitely want to go. They're asking like for people to volunteer. And this palette is so beautiful. This is much more color payoff than I ever would have expected. What the palette lacks in terms of mirror, it more than makes up for in its, you know, it's just gorgeous. Maybe this is a day for us to try something new. Here's a super dewy skin tint. Do we want to get into that, or do we want to get into our favorite product? Where is it? Has it gone walkabout? It has an Asian lady's face on it. Where can it be? You know, I do try to keep my makeup covered because there's a lot of dust here in SoCal, right? Using our tiny scissors to get into this Maybelline Perfector 4-in-1. When I'm going to work and I need something that works, no experimenting, no, you know, multiple products. I've got minutes. I need to get through security. I need to do I just get a bit of it on my fingers, right? I don't know what you call this. Is this a pea size? Is that, you know, is it enough? Is it too much? But what's interesting is it's supposed to be Maybe let's get a little water on our face as well. Maybe we won't ruin our eyeshadow. You know, is water a good enough setting spray? Who knows, right? But just getting this on your fingers and then tapping it on your face, right? More coverage in the center of the face. But it's amazing because it's supposed to be concealer, BB cream, you know, all the things that you need. And it's funny because then you put it on and you're like, maybe it'll be all those things, right? We say don't get your foundation right up under your eye, but when you're in a rush and you're playing a cop, you just don't want to look ugly. You don't want to look sick. You don't want the weird growths on your face to overtake your overall appearance. You want something that gives you kind of like visual unity and, you know, corrects anything crazy in your complexion, right? And I feel like if you can work quickly and get it into all the places that you need it, right? And maybe that means like getting it right up under this eye makeup and then looking in your mirror to see, did it do all the things that you need it to do? Random things on my face. That's not cool, you know. But did that water reactivate our blurring cream? We really didn't apply enough to get down on our neck, but maybe that's okay, right? Maybe it is okay, right? Our brow got a little bit misplaced when we applied that, but we just use our spoolie, maybe a little dot of water on the end of it to get that brow soap reactivated and then reshape the tail of that brow. Same on the other side. You want that brow lifted and pointed in one direction. I think the brow tail is probably the more frustrating part of my brows. Like I have a lot of brow hair. The product onto my neck, right? We haven't done any contouring yet. And I have been watching with interest people who are contouring with brush into product, right? We did try, and we have watched people on TikTok working with these Makeup Revolution Eye Bright illuminating concealers, deep caramel, warm chestnut. But you know, it's interesting. You really do have to think about the shape. One tiny little divot under the eye. Now, is that because I've been eating salt or what, right? We're trying to keep our dirty brushes segregated. We have this flat applicator brush from Eco Tools, right? Maybe we'll get, I'm so tempted to use my mirror as a as a dish, but that would be nasty. We certainly need to clean our mirror because we keep touching it. But just getting a smidgen of this Becca highlighting concealer in the shade Banana on our dish, putting our concealer back, right? This brush has an end that's just silicone, so just using that silicone end and just looking into a mirror and carefully placing that concealer right at the line of where we see darkness, right? We're not trying to get a lot of product under the eye. We're just trying to resolve. You know, it's funny. I saw one of my friends on General Hospital, and I hadn't seen her since we worked on Strange Angel together. So just getting that around the corner of the nose. And, you know, she had a really nice white kind of duffel bag that I still admire in my mind to this day. But she was telling me about all the filler and Botox and Restylane that she'd gotten, and I was like looking at her like, do you really need that? Like, is that something that like you need, or did you just want it, right? So using the silicone end, which is sort of like a finger, just to pat and push that product into the nose. Are we going to be and into the smile line area? See if we can erase some of that structure. Erase that nostril, right? And allow ourselves with contour to perhaps create a new nose, right? Using that same silicone applicator end just to push that product into place. It's looking very bright. Is it too bright? If it's not if it's just not the right thing, we can always use our beauty sponge to obliterate it. Now, using the same silicone applicator, which is very, very round, but maybe we can use it just to make the very straightest, thinnest line up the middle of the nose, right? I've been watching people, like, I feel like women do their nose contour very much, especially women of color, very much a lot, not all, but, you know, lines that are, what is the word? Parallel, and that go straight up and down and can be very broad. I was watching someone's What's in My Purse video the other day, and it was really quite amazing because you could see how clearly her nose contour was drawn on with concealer, which is very warm, which is not, to me, necessarily the right thing, right? So this applicator is not flexible enough to do a good job distributing concealer in the center of the forehead, right? Because that 4-in-1 corrector dried down, things are feeling a little dry. Maybe we need a little dot of water just to assist us in distributing the product and making it look native to the skin, right? We don't want to take the product away, but we just want to make sure we're distributing it in a good way, right? Anticipating the application of contour, right? And using the very last of this concealer. You know, it's funny because on this side of my face, I can see the shadow. On this side, there's so much light. I have a hair light, I have 2 ring lights, and my mirror light has died. But, you know, again, this flexible silicone sponge and this, I mean, can you see what I'm saying about this 4-in-1 perfector? If you just need something that's going to do it and be done, one step, very rarely do these single, you know, steps, combining multiple steps, work out. But I feel like this product has done me very right so many times where, you know, with a little setting spray, maybe a matte setting powder, right? Just that line down the nose and this concealer obliterating that darkness under the eye and kind of obscuring the nostrils. You know, is it something where you want to take that concealer up the side of the nose? Like, you know, we're trying to be conservative about how much makeup we're putting on our face. Maybe we need a smidge more of this concealer in our dish. Just a dot. Just a dot. Just, you know, like name that tune. How few notes can you use to get symmetry on the face, right? To get the same amount of product and emphasis on that contour on the right side as there is on the left, right? There are people who are talking about lifted lines coming out of the mouth area, right? That's going to help lift the face, you know, but not everything is for everybody, right? I am surprised at how strong that liner with green shadow and not even the right brush is looking, and how bright that inner corner is looking. Delicious. I'm so pleasantly surprised. So from here, right, if I had to leave the house with no lip color on and just this pretty eyeshadow, I wouldn't be mad, right? Looking at how it almost looks like a duochrome, that creamsicle shimmer over the Weho color, which read more coral on our skin tone, right? just using our same brush to lift and draw out that coral shadow into the temple area, right? A bare brow bone. But I feel like the blend on this side is just so, spectacular. For an $8 palette that reads better on people of color, I'm not the darkest person, but I'm not the fairest. It just looks so good. Anyway, from here, where are we going? We're gonna contour. We're gonna use some kind of brush, right? Some kind of brush. Are we gonna mess with this Stila brush, this dual-ended Stila brush that was more expensive than you could imagine? Are we gonna take these products and get them into a dish? Am I hallucinating, or did I open these the other day? Did I open one or did I open both? I don't know what's going on. I really thought that, and in fact I did. Yeah. That'll go into the travel kit. But what are we doing? Are we doing warm chestnut or are we doing deep caramel? You know, deep caramel is not as dark. I guess we should try, deep caramel? Should we be more conservative since we're wearing pastels? Let's try it. And if it doesn't work out, we can always go with the darker one. So indeed, we did use this the other day. Do we even need to twist it again? Let's twist it a bit and get it into what? Our dish. This is our attempt to try not to just keep putting these wet products onto our skin, because bacteria is real, friends, and you don't want to play that game. You don't want to be in a place of just endlessly dry brush into product, right? Looking at that cheek, looking at where we've enhanced with our concealer, our brightening concealer, right? And then they say lift, right? From where you apply, lift. And just being very gentle, right? Not scrubbing the skin, not trying to lift up our 4-in-1 perfector. We're not trying to lift up our blurring cream. We're just trying to think about using a delicate hand and a delicate edge, and let's think about not parallel lines, but lines that converge. This is not the thin enough brush. Oh my God. All right, before that dries, let's try to do what we're trying to do, right? We're trying to take this up toward the brow. Thin line, ideally. I don't know if we achieve that, but let's try to at least be symmetrical, right? It would help to hold the brush by its end and try to use it the way you would a ballpoint pen, just to have a sharp edge, right? It's bled out a little bit more on this side than this side. Should we use a finger maybe to clean that up? But this color is very warm. I feel like it's definitely, I mean, what persuaded me was that they said it was a dupe for the Charlotte Tilbury wand. And certainly in the mirror and also in the camera lens, it's definitely looking like a nose contour that hasn't just completely bled out and across our entire nose. But it is warmer than we would want, right? I just think when I see people, you know, we're not putting this in the, what do you call it? We're not putting it in the eyeshadow area because we already did that for a change. So getting back into our broad brush and thinking about painting, stroking and painting this into the forehead. I have seen people talk about making a line from the end of the from the end of the brow up toward the temple and making sure that that line goes up. I don't know if that did anything incredible, but you know, just stroking that back and forth before it dries down so we're not left with any kind of like harsh line. And then other side, thinking about that brow and lifting. And it is confusing also to hear people say, oh, drag your blush into the temple, right? If something is pale, it's more prominent. If you keep piling, whether it's concealer or contour or anything like that, into that temple area, well, then it's going to end up being contoured like your cheekbone. And is that what you want? I think it isn't. Let's use our silicone sponge just to make sure we've made that contour a little bit more subtle. So what have you guys been eating, right? Like, I don't get fed at work anymore. So I've been getting into some sushi. I got into some kale yesterday. You know, it's sort of a battle to kind of get, so wanting this contour to be on the cheek, right? On the cheek, not under the cheek, on the cheek, right? On the cheek, lifted. And you can kind of feel the bone under there. And I feel like that's partially in the right place, but then partially not in the right place. Right? We don't want it to look just like a dark stripe. Although when I've had my makeup done by people, I definitely have had a dark stripe. And it wasn't the worst thing in the world. It just was dark. It was dark enough, right? And then stroking it from the bottom of the ear along the jawline. And, you know, a little product is going a long way. Bottom of the ear along the jawline. I've seen people with long faces put a lot more, you know, sort of brown kissing up on the bottom of that chin. But for me, I don't think that's the move because I have a round face and I feel like I have a weak chin. You know, so I want the shadow to enhance my cheekbone. I do not want the shadow to shorten my face any more than it is because we don't have the longest face in the world. So placement wise, thinking about the top of the ear, right? And the middle of the ear, top of the ear, middle of the ear, right? Top of the ear, middle of the ear, curving around to find that cheekbone. You know, it always looks clever when you watch your face move and you see yourself talk. It feels like drawing lines like this can enhance part of the structure of your face, right? To give you that snatched look that enhances the muscles and the structure of the face, right? Now, is that just making our face look muddy or have we done something? I'm not sure, right? Any mistakes? Beauty sponge is in action, right? If we think it went too low on this side, we can definitely try to take some of that away and refine the shape of our contour, right? And kind of screen it down. If it's too much, screen it down. Now remember, this is our lighter color of contour, right? Shaping concealer, using a warm concealer to create structure, right? Thinking about that jaw, any tiny bits left in our dish, just scraping them up with a little dab of water to do what? Erase that double chin, right? We haven't done a lot of dragging product down below our face tonight, but we want to just sort of make those colors and lines marry down onto the neck, right? Giving our chin some more structure. It's a little bit tougher to see at night. I should have started this earlier. Look how beautiful this eyeshadow is. I'm really pleased. So this is us over painting. We've painted our contour over our 4-in-1 base, right? So our complexion products, right? Using the same Stila brush, thinking about our contour, right? Using the side of the brush, wanting to kind of fade it away from that line, right? Still having that bright center line. Can you see it? But using the brush to kind of fade it up toward the brow and out toward the side, right? We don't quite want it to be broad. We want it to be there, and it's almost stained the skin. We just don't want it to be so detectable. Now, outside of the parallel lines, they say that you can, and maybe we'll pinch our brush, make a line kind of toward the middle of the nose where you might naturally have a kind of a dip, right? If you were making a little button nose and then maybe drawing a little circle around it, right? You can tell I've spent a lot of time watching nose contour tutorials. So looking at our cheek contour, looking at our cheek contour, right? Thinking about our beauty sponge. Is it enough? I feel like our forehead contour is looking a lot more natural. We've avoided putting contour into that temple area, just letting that area stay bare and letting it stay pale, right? Looking at the side of nose contour, the upper lip, the chin, getting rid of any tones that look too much or too crazy, and even stamping over that nose shaping contour just to make sure that we're looking, you know, lifted and natural, not too much going on. You know, I think we're in a good place. We were able to get this Marc Jacobs Pout liner, long wear lip pencil in the color Sugar High. Now, is it crazy? Is it too much? It seems to be a kind of salmony pink. If we get that on as a liner, let's see if it balances out that bright, you know, sort of fruit ice color of our eye. Maybe let's wipe our lips off. I think we just have like lip balm on. But see if we can get something on these lips that looks like it belongs with that Juice Box eyeshadow. I don't dislike this color. It's a little bit paler than my natural lip, but you know, this eyeshadow is also paler. And thank you for joining my live. I mean, I go live at the most random times. I don't dislike this color. It's not giving me the depth of a brown, and it's looking a little chalky. I just feel like a gloss might be the right thing to go over this color, just so it doesn't look so matte and cadaverous. But I do like it. It's kind of a salmony pink, which, given how kind of yellow orange I am, a Pout liner, matte. It's supposed to not be so modern to get, you know, sort of necessarily into such a glossy place. But we have a bunch of Charlotte Tilbury glosses of varying levels of shimmer. Maybe we'll go for this one, Refresh Rose or Rosé. Kind of has a kind of salmony color. I've never tried it before, but let's see if it'll give us what we need for this look. Now we have it. Oh my God, it's almost like clear. What an interesting applicator. It's almost shaped like a heart. but just dabbing this on. It smells minty. I suspect it may be plumping, right? Dabbing that on. And then using a finger just to marry that liner in with what feels like a plumping gloss. And I feel like that maybe gave us a satiny finish rather than such a dry matte one. We did not really overline our lips, but maybe take some off at the corner and at the top so that we don't get that I just ate a greasy hamburger look on our lips. I'm not mad, but what is the right blush? If this is the lip and these are the lids, then what is the right treatment? If we've contoured our cheeks and we've emphasized with some highlighting concealer, then where do we go from here, right? Unfortunately, we didn't get to try our Dragon Beauty Dragon Glass Gloss Nikita. This would have been, I think, a little bit not vibrant enough, and I do believe the finish on this, is it a glossy gloss or is it matte? I'm not sure. I guess it is a glossy gloss, but it's a little bit more opaque. I'm not mad at the liner and Charlotte Tilbury plumping, but there is a theory about the cheek area and how you properly build structure on that cheek, right? We had gotten this, where did I put it? This Avani Gregg bronzer the other day, and it was so kind of awesome, right? I really did like it. Is it too dark for this look? Look at this. If we take the little condom off, is that too dark of a color considering we did warm caramel for contour? Is this going to take it just too far? There is another color of this bronzer called, I think it's called Bali or something like that. But I think this might be a little bit too deep, although I do love it. And then I do also love this 123 Smile medium contour palette from the Creme Shop. I think, you know, I'm experimenting, right? I tried a different soap brow that I found more satisfying than the Revolution Makeup Revolution London soap brow. This one wasn't stiff enough for me. This new one by e.l.f. is stiff enough, but you gotta like take the rest of the soap product off the surrounding skin or else it's gonna mess up your eyeshadow base. So brow products go into a special area, right? We don't have to waste a lot of time drawing on extra brow. You see my brow. We don't have to do a lot to enhance these lips. You see these lips. But, you know, when it comes to chin and losing the double chin and having the right set of products on these cheeks, trying not to go too dark, right? This is the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer that's darker, kind of like our shirt. And this is the one that's slightly, it's warm, but it's slightly less dark. Let's try to get the right brush, right? An angled cheek brush, right? Let's grab our mirror so we can be a little bit precise, right? Using the very face of this brush. They say contour, then bronzer. Are we bronzed enough? It's not the darkest bronzer we have. We're trying not to be too aggressive, right? People say put bronzer on to bring color back into the face. I don't know if I relate to that statement, but we're trying to be precise. If nothing else, we're using bronzer to set our contour, right? We could use a cool toned contour powder, and certainly we've done that in the past. We are shrinking that forehead down. You almost can't tell with the glare of this light, right? We want you to be able to see us setting that contour with bronzer, right? Setting that cheek, not making that bronzer area too broad, right? And the diagram suggests that you want all of these elements to come out to a kind of pointy area. Maybe you're setting that element that goes down the face, that enhances that muscle. See what I'm saying? Maybe we bravely take a little bit just on the very tip of that brush and set that nose contour, right? Shorten the tip of that nose, right? Those divots, right? At the very front of our nostrils, so that we are set and we are structured, but without putting wide stripes down the middle of the nose. We're not done yet, right? We're working on those cheeks, but there's also more magic to do to that nose. Thanks for sticking with me. If that is contour and bronzer, then the next thing is to take some kind of cheek color, right? Is it going to be a cream or a powder? That is the question. Right? If we just got a powder bronzer on, should it be a cream in this red? Should it be one of these shimmery colors? We've got these elf ones that, you know, we certainly haven't gone completely nuts. Do we want to do more pink or more salmon? Right? If we went pink, what's this color? Tahiti. Tahiti seems to be like kind of a rose color. Should we risk it all and use the same brush without doing anything to the brush? Should we use our brush cleaner? Is that what the big kids do when they really want to do their makeup well? Right? Let's put our products back. This is our spray water that we used at the beginning, and this is our brush cleaner that allows you to change product and change colors without muddying things, right? And then you wash this little removable scrubber pad, right? Instead of using our silicone sponge, let's get into this brush, right? Compact it, swipe it in there, right? Get that product on that brush, swirl. Because one thing about these e.l.f. Blushes is that if you use a silicone sponge, you have to dip and dip and dip and dip to try to get color payoff, right? And I've been watching with interest people, you can even see it on the brush, using brushes with stick foundations and bronzers, and, you know, whether it's liquidy bronzers or, you know, and again, thinking about not disturbing what's underneath, but I think you see that color payoff. Not disturbing what's underneath, but getting color payoff, padding, thinking about the angle, right? Dip again, other side, right? Getting that blush higher than the contour and higher than the bronzer and marrying it together. That's what we're trying to do, right? Trying to get enough of a color payoff, right? Without obliterating what foundation we've laid underneath, right? And trying to use a brush that's enough to get color payoff, right? And maybe kissing the very smallest amount across that snatched nose, right? Getting that blush on that nose, but we still have to do a little bit more to the nose with a white, non-shimmery pencil, right? NYX makes a couple of pencils, and I feel like Cottage Cheese is the shimmery one. Kissing that blush on the forehead, thinking about that candy colored, juice box colored, creamsicle colored shadow, which, you know, I have to confess, I've gotten a lot better at my eyeshadow application, right? What I lack in confidence in terms of like, what is the right liner without going black? I don't want to do a black liner. Is this a moment where you wet your brush and you really get it into that shadow and make a shadow liner that then, even more than what we did with this kind of like green, could be a little bit more substantial? Is that what we ideally do without, you know, going black and kind of obliterating what has been our color palette, right? This lighting maybe is not the best, but just backing up from our mirror, backing up from this mirror, really looking at what we're doing. Here's another element that we could do just to bounce light back up into our face. Does that help make the colors seem a little bit more true? But you know, if I were going to dinner, that nose snatch is working for me. That eyeshadow is beautiful, and you know, to a certain level, if you are feminine presenting, no matter what your sex is, if you're feminine presenting, there's some real power in, you know, kind of having command of your, you know, feminine game, whether that's, you know, how to have a lip color that's not too bananas, that's not overwhelming with the product of it all, right? That's something that looks natural and arresting and flattering, that doesn't cross that line of being trying too hard. I think this putty blush is really, really pretty with this look Tahiti, which is kind of like a bluish kind of plummy pink, right? So many blushes, such slight variation, but I think with the mix of tones, that this was not the wrong choice at all, right? Maybe kissing the apple of the cheek a bit, but using light and dark, you know, maybe that nose contour is a bit warm, you know, but marrying it to that cheek and building over the contour and over the bronzer, this really very pretty cheek treatment. Now, the last elements that they suggest, right? You look at your NYX Jumbo Pencils, right? You have this one crayon in this color, Cottage Cheese, and it's shimmery, right? And they say that's the wrong thing, right? You need a non-shimmer pencil, right? And I keep getting this Jumbo Eye Pencil in the shade Milk. I keep getting it dirty because I keep putting, you know, it directly onto my skin. But if I take a tiny brush, and this is a Jones New York signature something brush, right, and just stroke it across that crayon, right, both to clean it and also to take product off that tip to sort of refine the color and surface of that tip. It's a non-shimmer white. Hopefully that'll be enough. But, you know, when I talk, you can kind of see that the placement of that, you know, when you talk, you can see how the muscles in your face work and how your shadow enhances that structure, right? Maybe I'll start wearing my hair down too, because a couple of things, and I'll talk about that at another time, that it's very stark to have your hair pulled back. It's interesting for me to see people on TikTok do their makeup without having their hair out of their face, you know, especially men who have hair in their face so they don't bother contouring their forehead. It's like, hello. Or if they have a beard, they don't do the job really because they can't, because they have a beard. Anyway, we have this on the brush, right? Looking directly into our mirror, right? Thinking about where our initial highlight is, right? Drawing over that with a white pencil, right? White pencil, narrow line, thin brush. Then looking at where we have built that kind of button nose and wanting to stroke that white onto there, right? Maybe just kind of screening that down with your finger. You don't want it to be looking like a crayon mark, right? But what's left on the brush, take it onto these two raised areas above Cupid's bow, right? Now you see it, take that finger, tap it in, now you don't. So it's a highlight that's not highlighter, right? Stroke it on the chin, right? That bright white gives you the kind of highlight that you want without being like the obviousness of a shimmer. Maybe stroke that onto that brow bone, giving us that, again, that 80s bright brow bone. It's not shimmer. It could be, but it isn't, right? Looking into our mirror, that nose looks, it's a different nose, right? And you do want people to be like, oh, did Tanya get a nose job? Right? I've heard people talk about putting a lot of highlight between their brows, right? But it's color theory, right? Using that bright white to obscure dark areas, to bring them forward, right? Obliterate those nostrils. No one wants you to have a nose. You want a small, feminine nose. You want a tiny, feminine face. You want that eye drama. You want that cheek drama. No double chin. I'm excited about this look. You know, we haven't powdered. We haven't put on mascara or lashes. We have done our brows just with soap, and we've done our contouring. Do we need a powder just in the T-zone? Should we do that? Maybe we should. We have our can't stop, won't stops. This one is medium, but I think we really want to be more in a natural place, right? I'm not sure what this sponge is for, but we can certainly use one of our other ones just to take down any shine and also just to give us a thin layer of human color over all this white and all this extra carrying on. Now, what we haven't done is put on highlighter. And they're saying a liquid highlighter is best, but you know, maybe we don't need all that. If I were going out to dinner or to work as, you know, something requiring this kind of makeup, the precision, the cheating I have done with these tones of light and dark, not the darkest dark, not the palest concealer, but you know, just getting in there with that white pencil and really cheating that nose contour, highlighting that upper lip and that chin and that forehead. But look at that, just glorious subtle shine in the inner corner. That green flick coming out to the side, that pale temple and those enhanced cheeks. I'm not mad at this at all. Are you mad? I would almost say, I mean, considering where I started from, this feels like an expert level makeup application. I am sorry that I started this so late so that you don't see, you know, kind of the power of daylight really telling you how true these colors are. But, you know, I think you can tell that I'm not bored by makeup. I am really quite delighted, you know, just taking out the darkness under the eyes, taking control of the shape of that nose, looking at that contour that we strove to keep that contour thin. Maybe it's a little bit more obvious on this side than on the other side. It's there, but just thin layers of makeup that cover up the clear lines of demarcation. You want that seamlessness. You want to look in your mirror and think about what your date for the evening might be seeing, right? You want to bounce out any harsh lines and, you know, take out anything that looks super crazy. We got a little muddiness here in the center of this cheek. I don't know what that is really. It doesn't look terrible, but it was unplanned. But, you know, we're trying to improve our lighting here. But, you know, I've learned so much, again, about shadowing my hooded eyes and, you know, that outer corner and building that outer corner above the kind of hood of the crease so that that purple reads and that beautiful kind of like salmony Weho color and that green and that inner corner shimmer. I would never have thought that this creamsicle orange would look so, it's not a duochrome, not exactly. It's both orange and then it's shimmery, and maybe it's on a duochrome, but that white shimmer just brings so much light to the middle of the eye, and this subtle lip color that's not quite my color, but it's enhanced and it's sheer, so it's not a thick, heavy lipstick and dark liner and all of that. It's a liner that's a little bit more juice box colored than my natural lip, and then with a kind of glossy plumping lip. I don't even think it's a lip oil. What is this product exactly? It's Refresh Rose. It's some kind of Charlotte Tilbury something, but it's quite nice because it's pretty and enhanced without being matchy-matchy, but being in the same kind of weight of pink, purple, salmon green, not too heavy, not darker. I have dark brows and I have dark lashes. So for me, you know, going in a heavy, dark, thick, opaque lipstick place doesn't feel quite as modern and kind of sporty and on the go as this makeup does, because it has surprises in it. It has the surprise contrast of that kind of sherbet, that orange sherbet with, you know, all these other like tones. We did the right angles and lift. We have a pale temple. We did a lot to restructure our nose without hating our nose, but just making it look more refined. Just like the brows are refined and lifted and shaped. It's, you know, it's wearing jewelry, but for your face, right? Adding a little something, making the brows more crisp, making the lips more succulent, shall we say. And, you know, all of these things are to not only provide visual entertainment and help you show off your, you know, burgeoning skills as a makeup artist, but also to, you know, depending on what you're wearing, enhance it, create some artistry and excitement and appeal. And maybe that is what ultimately we're getting at with all of our makeup looks, a certain femininity and artistry, a flair that is not the same as a bare face or a clean look, or, you know, it's just going a little bit beyond the regular everyday and going one step beyond, just like, I forget what ska band that was, One Step Beyond. I wonder what group that was, if you know ska. You know, I think that it's definitely worth exploring this palette, you know, and if this palette leads me to explore more of Los Angeles on camera for you, then that's not a bad kind of jumping off point. You know, it's a very affordable palette, it's pretty, and then on my skin tone, the color payoff is surprisingly good. And I wouldn't feel bad about this set of colors for a brunch, for work, for a red carpet even, because the contrast and the cooperation is there, the color payoff is there, and, you know, maybe that contrast and cooperation is really ultimately what this palette and its intentions and its, you know, sort of moment and utility is about. So my thumbs are all the way up for this palette. I can't wait to get into some more looks with it. It's pretty. It doesn't have a mirror, but you know, for $8 or $11, you can't go wrong. There's a white in it for the Abbey. Am I really gonna mess with a white on these eyes? Maybe I will. Be like a rave look. Should I match the outfit to the shadow? The shadow is really unexpectedly good. I mess with a few different eyeshadow palettes, but I don't always feel this kind of pleasantly surprised and inspired by it. A stronger liner, something. But I think you see how well this 4-in-1 Perfector from Maybelline, how well it does its job. A little powder over it. You don't need anything crazy. It's not a satiny, dewy or anything like that. It just makes you look concealed and powdered. It does make you look primed, and it does make your skin look healthy, right? Now we had some texture on our face, especially on this cheek. We have some, you know, couple of little lumps and bumps on our face, but I'm not mad at all. Jewelry from our friends at Target, this cute little ring set, these beaded bracelets. You can't go wrong. The price point is right. It's lovely. It's pretty. It's definitely better than nothing. I so encourage you to, you know, experiment with your looks in an affordable way with your time. It's part of self-care, helps you develop your intentionality when it comes to your makeup. It's time to have some dinner. It's time to lift some weights, perhaps, but you know, I'm really very delighted with this makeup look. I think I'm gonna grab another mirror or something with a handle on it because, you know, I want to be able to look, you know, this jaw contour, the cheek contour, the architecture of the cheek. It's all very interesting, and maybe we'll play with some liquid highlighter either under the base, over the base, you know, and kind of take it there because, you know, runway looks especially, you can see the aggressive amount of, I don't know what you call it. Is it shimmer? Is it sheen? We certainly have a lot of glass glow, face illuminator from Kevin Aucoin. You know, we have these products. We're just trying to work across our collection and develop intentionality, you know, work on our blending technique to develop seamlessness. I encourage you to, you know, take out your brushes, clean your brushes, use your brushes, and see what they can give you. You know, we've got a ton more products to experiment with, a lot of outfits, and the gift of time. So this is Tanya from House of Tanya, encouraging your beauty technique and your self-care and self-love efforts to become what? Camera ready. And I'll see you next time. Thanks for joining me.